Good morning, Melissa.
Unity Stockton, how's everybody doing today?
Great. Doing pretty good.
Small but mighty group today.
Yes.
Small but mighty.
Yes, mighty. Okay, the first song is All Is Well, and please join in if you feel so inclined to do so. All is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, 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 I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, 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 I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well, all is well, I can rest, I am safe. All is well.
Amen. So let's begin this service with prayer. Oh, sweet Spirit, all is well. And we offer our gratitude. We offer our breath. We offer our attention. And we extend our peace. We join together in love. And we say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for being among us, for being within us, for being around us. And we dedicate this service to the highest power in the universe, the only power, the glue that holds it together, love. And so it is. Amen.
You're up again.
All right.
Thank you to our amazing Reverend Mary Ann Kane for being with us today. Our amazing musician, Melissa Olson. Oh my God, always knocking it out of the park.
We are amazed.
Yes. Yours truly as your technician. And Maria Rosado, you are our reader today, correct? All right, and together, our vision and mission statements, together.
We are a expanding community of conscious involvement, bringing timeless wisdom. We welcome all who are in search of a higher purpose and greater connection to divine presence in each of us.
And our mission, together.
Unity Center of Stockton's mission is to raise awareness and understanding of unity principles and universal truths, which inspire a higher level of expression of living.
So much nicer when you're up here. All right, let's take some time. Some namaste, some handshakes, some hugs.
Hello again.
Never can do anyhow. I love that we
Wait, what did you guys do?
Lovely. All right, so as per usual, this class is postponed until further notice since we are getting the new place ready. Not sure how long until we move in there, maybe a month.
Something like that. They're actually, Reverend Tony and John and later possibly Don are out there hammering away. As we speak.
Demolition.
And we're going there after church, if anyone wants to see
Yes.
what's going on.
I'm impressed. I was
Where your
there,
heart
and it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm worried for them, to be honest. Yeah.
No worries. No worries.
You're very
No
okay.
worries.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that today.
Yes, no worries.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, we're getting negative visualization.
Okay.
We're-
I'll remember
Great.
that.
So,
Alright.
Beautiful.
things are turning out good so far.
That's good to hear, work in progress,
Yeah.
always great to see. And as per usual, Course in Miracles, I do not have my glasses today. Monday, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and
Yeah.
Wednesday, 7 to 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And then morning meditation, every other Saturday, yeah. That's 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. facilitated by Israel Hurtado on Google Meet.
Nice accent.
Yeah, I'm a show off.
We love it.
And Spiritual Tuesdays at 7 p.m. right here in this very room. What we have going on?
We have Magenta from the Gypsy Flare Dancers. She's coming in and she's gonna teach us, cover your ears, to belly dance.
Okay.
It's a nice, subdued, class. It's mostly how to use the veils and all that stuff.
Low impact.
Yeah. Something like that.
Dare I say I want to go?
Yeah.
She does, I'll go.
So dress, get your skirts and what might be there.
It's okay.
You can dress it.
Yeah, I'll get my kilt, right?
Okay.
It's been a while since I've let my femininity out. Ever since I came out, I've been sort of channeling this non-binary energy. That'd be a good time to let the feminine shine
Yes,
in.
your divine feminine.
Yes.
That's in you.
Yes.
Now you can find mine.
They mine.
I'll look for mine.
Right, and as well, also our new website is up and running, if you guys would like to check that out at unitycenterofstockton.org. Great, and as per usual, our daily word copies are always available. With a
It's a
suggested
new month
donation of
coming,
$1.
so get yours.
Yeah, I see.
$2.
$2 now, okay, got it.
Well, that's size.
Gotcha. All right, and again, join us for prayer. I am the prayer chaplain today. If you guys would like the little session, the private session for prayer, you can always come to me. All right, and with that, I'll do the word.
That's not.
That's not the right one?
Oh, wait, this is September.
Oh, it's September.
Well, we have one right here.
Acceptable.
September, okay.
August. For August.
You can read it off the top of it.
Glenn's gonna channel the daily word.
Sorry, I'm bringing my inner psychic.
There you go.
Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, the last.
Sunday. There we go. Beautiful.
Good job.
Okay, today's daily word is purpose. I pursue my purpose with passion. Over the course of my life, I have discovered what has kindled my passions, captivated my attention, and made me feel most alive. My passions led me to discover my purpose, to which I choose to devote my time and my life. My highest spiritual purpose is to live from my divine nature. My divine gifts of life, love, and wisdom express uniquely in my passions, fulfilling me while demonstrating the truth of my being. I listen to the still small voice of spirit within to discern the best way to fulfill my purpose. I heed its call to learn, discover, and grow. It is never too early or too late to embark upon the journey of a lifetime. I am ready, willing, and more than able. From John 18:37. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify the truth. And at this time, let's put it in for meditation.
so grateful. I'm 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 so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
So I invite you to settle into your chair more deeply and feel your feet solidly on the floor, bringing our attention to the breath, giving ourselves a nice deep one, deep into the center of our body. Hold it for a second. Let out a big sigh. Breathing in again, very deeply. And sighing it out. Each breath, relaxing just a little more deeply, letting go of all that came before this now moment. And with the next breath, we come into the awareness of the breath as precious. Become aware of it, that which we take for granted, that we are mostly unconscious of. Continuing to focus on our breath, listen to these words on faith. With faith, I step into my bright, brilliant future. My faith empowers me to face all circumstances with hope and positive expectancy. In tougher times, when I'm not able to see my way forward, I rely on faith. I release the need to control details and timing, and trust that I am divinely guided. Just as I have faith the sun will rise each morning, I have faith in the power and presence of God. This is the same power that is always always flowing through me. I do not need to know my entire path. In faith and with confidence, I leave the comfortable and familiar and step boldly into the unknown. With each fresh new step, I live the truth of my faith in God and in my own ever-expanding potential. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And so we let these words settle into our heart. And I invite you to contemplate now in the silence what faith means to you. So we take another deep breath into our heart, feeling that breath expanding, nourishing all the blood cells, every part of the body. And we become aware of those around us. And we start to come back to the present moment in this room. Lengthening our spine, sitting up taller, wiggling our toes. Whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. All right. Are we ready? So, I always start out this with my conversation with Reverend Tony. What are you going to talk about? Send me your talk title. And that's when my process begins. In my mind, okay, where am I at? Where am I at in my process? Because we're always in the process. Every one of us, all the time. So all I can do is speak from where I'm at and hope that it resonates. And so take with what resonates with you, and if it doesn't, set it aside. But faith is a really difficult topic. I mean, there's blind faith. I realized that just answering that question to Reverend Tony, I had to take a leap of faith. I used to, when I began my ministry, I was faithless in my own ability to express an idea without having it written out as a script. Just like as a child, we have bicycle riding lessons, and at some point, we have to take that leap of faith and start pedaling and leave that alone. So, my talk title is What is Faith and How Do I Get Them? 2 weeks ago today, I was worried about one of my relatives, one of my children. Who can identify with worrying about your children? So it's a really, it's a rabbit hole you can go down to where you're just like, you can't see the answers, and you want the most for them, and you want them to have a healthy, happy life, and you get into that parental mode of just worrying, negative prayer. So I was in this, I know it's surprising, I'm so enlightened, no. I was in this loop of worrying about my children, and my grandchildren. Then they multiply and give you more things to worry about. And they become teenagers. And so I basically had went down the I'm worried about everybody. And I decided to take a hike with my dog by myself. What could go wrong? I'm physically fit, young, 63. My husband says, "You're not young! You need to be careful." So I decided to go on a hike, took myself on a hike up by Bear Valley, about an hour and a half drive. And I was an hour and a half into a 3-hour loop behind Lake Alpine, worrying. I have a very rambunctious Labradoodle and a 12-year-old poodle in each arm, a leash in each arm. And I've done this hike 6 or 7 times, probably, maybe more. I was at the easiest part of it, by the way. The whole challenging part was coming up. And so I'm going up and down the hill, and in my mind I'm worrying, but at the same time I'm praying. I'm going back and forth, and I'm like, okay, God, I give you these kids, I give you my children, I give it all to you. I know you love them more than I ever will, that I can't even fathom the love that you have for these people, for these spiritual beings, and I surrender it all to you. I half-heartedly say this prayer. And then go back to worrying. Next thing you know, I'm flying through the air. And like literally in the air, and it all slows down. And I had just had Jimmy Marino, I don't know if you guys have heard his new book, narration. He was in our town the night before, and I had just heard that presentation. And he talks about how all the different aspects of our personality and our ego are kind of like a group, and they're running the show. And he talked about this one character, part of the ego, being their curiosity. He named them as characters in his book. So I hit the ground, first my knees, then my shoulder, then my head slammed. And I'm a trail runner. I've fallen many times, taken some big falls. And I always like, Reiki on, as soon as I hit the ground. I was too stunned this time. I mean, this was like a car wreck. My SOS thing went off on my watch. I didn't even know that was a part of my watch. But it's like, we know that something happened. Should we send emergency crews? I'm like, And then it gives me an option, yes or no. So I say no. First thing I do is say no, I don't need help. Then it says, we need a further explanation. The watch is just talking to me right when I call, which is kind of good, you know. You're not really alone with these things. So it says, we need a further explanation. I'm like, I'm trying to get my breath, and it wants an explanation. So it actually gives me a little menu that says, like, it wrote it out, what happened. I've fallen, but I'm okay. I really didn't know if I was okay or not, but I said, yeah, that's it. Then it goes away. So I noticed then that curiosity is present. Part of my psyche is like standing back going, okay, you're hurt, but what is broken? Let's analyze this situation. So I slowly, you know, check everything out. I know that my arm is hurt. I've never broken a bone before. So I finally stand up and I try to straighten this arm, and it goes click. I'm like, okay, what's wrong there? So the next thing I think is when it asked me to send emergency crews, you know, yes or no, I said no, because they're going to come get me, and then what's going to happen to my dog? Immediately your brain goes into, okay, this logic. So I'm like, no ambulance is coming and separating me from my family. These are like my most important family. Big secret, above and beyond everybody else, these are my family, right here. And because none of them showed up today, I can say that for you. So I'm like, nothing is separating me from Lola and Chloe. I will crawl out of here on my dying breath before anyone's taken my dog. So my next logical thing is, I'm just going to finish this loop because the only way out is through. And so I start walking on, like this, with the dog. I start walking, and then some logic starts to kick in, saying, okay, that's the part where you have to climb boulders and across creeks, and like it's the challenge part is coming up. And so about 15 minutes, I said, okay, I'm going to turn around because I know I could walk out that way. Even though I didn't successfully walk the whole way in, I know I can make it out. So I turned around and walked out, and then got them in the car, and then I had an hour and a half drive home. At this point, still nobody but my watch knows what happened, and my dog, who were being so good. None of this was their fault. Everyone's like, oh, were they pulling on you? You know, was it their fault? No. I will swear on my dying breath, my dogs were angels. They did nothing wrong. So, drove myself home, went to the ER, broken elbow. So, what does this have to do with faith? What did I have faith in that day? And what did it teach me? As soon as I stood up, I'm like, oh, what was the spiritual lesson here? I'm not kidding, I'm not lying, that I did think that. And what it was is that, number one, we're all spiritual, eternal spiritual beings, every single one of us. I am not in charge of anyone else's spiritual path other than my own. They're all perfectly fine, no matter what the appearance. It's all going to be okay in the end, no matter what the appearance. And it didn't help them one iota, me taking a fall for them. It didn't help anybody. All it did was hurt me. So the first lesson I got was stay in your own damn lane. Stay in your own lane. So does that mean we don't pray for them? And if so, what does that look like? Because I was praying for them like crazy when I fell. I was negatively praying for them. I was seeing all of the trouble that the appearances showed. So that was the last 2 weeks. So then all week long I'm thinking, what do you really have faith in? What is faith? Because it's a broad definition of the word, faith. There's faith in God. I asked my husband this morning, what is faith to you? He's like, well, I believe it's a higher power that wants me to succeed. It wanted us to meet. I'm like, it's that personal? It cares about whether we meet? I don't buy that one. So then what is it? So then I go back to childhood. When we're infants, we have faith, a blind faith that we're going to be cared for and loved. We have a blind faith in our parents that they're perfect, or whatever. And then what happens? Every single time, by the way. That faith is broken, right? It's broken, our faith is broken in that. So then we move on to the next thing and we place our faith in something else. In my experience, almost every single thing, person, place, or situation that I've placed my faith in has let me down. That's the reality. When I picked this subject, then I realized, oh my gosh, I don't have any faith. But the story doesn't end there. And in fact, the story continues right to this leading edge moment right here, right now. So I kept having to follow this line of thought to like, okay, then the next question, and that's why I gave that question to you in the meditation, what is faith to you? And then the question becomes what? Okay, so Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, defines faith as the perceiving power of mind linked to the ability to shape substance. The perceiving power of our mind linked with the ability to shape substance. Should I say it one more time? The perceiving power of mind, that's the first part. So it's our perception linked with the ability to shape substance. A great example of that is Stockton Unity and your new building. You all collectively decided we're going to have a building, no matter what the appearances have been and the journey of up and down and worry and lack. Here we are with a brand new building. So the perceiving power of mind linked with the ability to shape substance. Okay, so that can be used any way our mind decides to perceive whatever the situation is, right? But, so it can be used to worry about your kids and to manifest a fall and a broken elbow. Or, and I think this is the higher meaning for me, I started asking my question, well then what do I have a definitive, non-breakable, non-movable, non-dying faith in? What is that, if anything? And so it distilled it down to what do I really know is true? And what is the principle that I lead my life by? And if it's the last day, the last hour, the last moment of my life, will it carry me through to that? And will I die in peace knowing that where my faith is well placed instead of misplaced? And it came down for me to one word, and that's love. And so when you look it up in the dictionary, it's a belief in God, it's, faith in God. What's that song, Chevy to the Left? Do you have faith in God? About that song that's going running through my mind. And Jesus said, God is love. And for me, that transcends all of the broken ways that I have defined faith. I defined faith in my parents, and they broke my heart. I did put my faith in my children, and they may have betrayed me. I placed my faith in marriage, and that person was fallible and let me down. But the energy running through all of this, all of it, I still love my parents, even in their mistakes and their frailties and their faith in things that I don't agree with, as well as my children, as well as all of the romantic love. Anyone that I have ever loved, I still do. It's non-ending, it's unbreakable, it's an energy that can only expand. And when I look at all of the other energies, the other vibrations that may look not like love on the planet today, all of the darkness, all of the evil, it has a period at the end of the sentence. It will expire, it will dissipate, it is not eternal. But you can't destroy love. And I can have faith in that. I can put my faith in that. I don't know of anything else on this planet that I can say is permanent and expanding and growing. The Old Testament in the Bible is history. It's the history of the world and the past. In Unity, we look at the Bible as the evolution of consciousness. And we can look at any book like that. You can look at your day yesterday, or your relationships, your whole life. It's the evolution of consciousness. And what is evolving us and what is putting us forward to the leading edge of creation, the expansion of the universe, is what's carrying us is love. And it's a real energy. It's not an airy-fairy, woo-hoo, man in the sky, hearts and X's and O's. It's a tangible force that is in each of us. And maybe we say, well, it's not in this person, it's not in that person, because look how they're acting. It's in them. It's in every one of us. And it may be shadowed by some, it may be pushed aside and ignored, but it cannot be denied, it cannot be extinguished ever. So I have faith in love. And I know that every single one of us in this room and on the planet have been touched by this energy. And it is something that if we put our faith in, will grow faster and wider and deeper and heal all wounds. And I started going down all the paths. Well, what about faith in, like the placebo effect and medicine and, examples of two people who have the same diagnosis of cancer and they do the exact same treatment and one thrives and the other one died. What is, did one have faith and one didn't? Those are all things that can go either way. But love, on the last day of your life, the last moment you're here, it will save you and it will give you peace and it will be your legacy. We had a family picnic yesterday, and my new family, the friend family, and my new bonus son, Robbie, him and his wife, they're just heart-centered people. And I've grown especially close to Ashley, my new daughter-in-law. And her and I were floating. We were in the mountains again. Here I am a week. And so first of all, we had a big floaty. She's like, get in here with me, because I don't look hurt. And it's like the round inner tube things, but this one's hooked together. And so I kind of like got in there and landed on my arm. But we're floating along, and she's like, I need to tell you something. I'm like, okay. They've been trying to have a baby, so I was like, maybe that's gonna be that. But it wasn't. She said, I was just telling Robbie the other day that how much I appreciate you. And I'm like, really? Well, I appreciate you too. She's like, no, listen. She goes, my mom was not emotionally there for me because she was physically and mentally abusive. And I've never had a loving mother figure in my life. She's 32. She goes, and you are that to me. Because I just want you to know that your loving me has meant everything. Love comes from everywhere. It's life. It's why we're here. It's why we chose to come here, to experience it in the physicality of these bodies. I believe that when we're non-physical, we know, or in our minds, that we're love, but we choose to come here to experience it in these bodies, to grow as individualized expressions of love. That's why we're here. So do I have faith? I have an enormous amount of faith. And this morning when I woke up, I was, I don't know if I have faith. But I'm full of faith. And I see each of you as who you are. Individualized expressions of the living presence of God. And I hope you know that about yourself. I hope you know how precious every act of love, every expression of love, how precious you are. Thank you.
Breath at a time, one breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. One breath at a time. That's where peace comes in, one step at a time. One step at a time. One step at a time. That's where peace comes in, one step at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in, one breath at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in, one breath. One breath, one breath at a time.
Thank you, Laura's hands. So lovely. And this time is our offering time. Take what you would give in your hands. Let us say together.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God, for these rich gifts and tithes. May they go forward to bless this ministry, expand your word, expand the truth, and bless each giver with prosperity, health, joy, peace, and faith. And so it is. Amen.
Peace already.
Let's go back here to Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family are we. Let us I